Amigos, I hope everyone is having a beautiful day. For some people, today marks the official Starfield release day / night, and I'm here to tell you 10 things you should know and or do throughout your playthrough in Starfield. So first things first, when you start the game, you'll be starting as a miner for the Argos Extractors. This is your tutorial pretty much, teaching you a few things about the game and giving you your most trusty tool on your adventures, the cutter. The cutter is your way of collecting resources throughout planets and will prove to be extremely beneficial as you get into crafting, researches, and building your outpost. Eventually, you'll finish the intro to Starfield and end up on your character creation screen. This is where you'll be able to choose your background and your traits. Your background is something that fits your playstyle you want to dive into for Starfield. It comes equipped with 3 level 1 skills, and 2 of my personal favorites are Bounty Hunter, which I'm playing on my main playthrough. This gives you piloting, allowing you to take advantage of your ship's thrusters early on, and eventually allowing you to fly different class ships. Another thing you get is targeting control systems that's also going to be extremely beneficial, especially if you want to live like a space pirate fantasy, allowing you to target the engines of your enemies and board their ships, to finally have a friendly chat about who the real captain is. The last skill that Bounty Hunter gives you is boost pack training, which allows you to use your boost pack / jetpack as soon as you acquire one. Now, Cyber Runner is also a great way to live that space pirate fantasy, giving you stealth immediately, level 1 security that allows you to lockpick advanced locks at the start of the game, and theft that grants you the ability to pickpocket targets while you're sneaking around. Now, what's cool about the new stealth system is that when you wanted to be sneaky beaky like, it's all real time, instead of those freeze time like past Bethesda games when you would pickpocket someone, and suppress weapons deal additional damage when you have points in stealth. Extra immersion. Your traits are also benefits that come with cons as well. You can select up to 3 of these. There aren't as many as I would have liked to see on release, but it's still enough to get people thinking of different character archetypes and ideas. And I'm sure in the future, modders will have quite a bit of fun with these as well. Now, shortly after you create your character, you'll get into your first firefight, learning and seeing firsthand how the combat feels in Starfield, and afterwards you'll receive your first ship, and this is where you finally get to embark on your journey. So while we're on the topic of skills, some things are locked behind them, like I was mentioning earlier with Bounty Hunter. It's definitely one of my favorite choices because you start with boost pack training and targeting control systems. Both of these are extremely useful, and boost packing is pretty much a must-have in Starfield, I think, allowing you to traverse around huge planets but also being a must-have when exploring, like finding different jump puzzles, for example, to hidden loot. Theft is another one because it's the only way to get pickpocketing options, so make sure you read the skills when you're finally able to. Now again, speaking about reading your skills, there are 82 different skills in the game. Each of them have 4 different ranks. When you learn a skill, you have a challenge quota you have to meet before you're eligible for the next rank up. So security, for example, you will have to pick a certain amount of locks before you're able to rank it up. If you go to pistol certification, you have a certain amount of kills that you need with a pistol to rank it up. So make sure you keep up with those challenges for the skills you want to focus on leveling first. It's also worth noting that there are tiers on each skill tree, meaning you have to allocate a certain amount of skill points in that subsection before you can reach each subsequent row. The thing about Starfield is there is no level cap, so if you put the time in, you can technically unlock every single skill plus max ranks for each skill. It'll take a bit of time because that means you have to get to level 328. However, you may want to plan accordingly because unfortunately, there is no way to respec in Starfield, which is a bit of a bummer, and I do hope that somewhere down the line, Bethesda sees this and maybe puts out a patch including an NPC where you can respec. There are traits that can be replaced through certain interactions throughout the game, but nothing again to refund skill points. Now, weight and inventory management. If you are like me and you want to pick up literally every lemon you see in the game, along with everything else, plus being able to harvest resources that you see exploring planets, well, this is fine. But you are going to have some serious encumbrance problems. Invest in weightlifting and always be on the lookout for plus weight capacity mods and mods that will reduce the weight of resources by 1%. These are absolute game changers. When you're over encumbered, you generally lose oxygen when you are moving. When you are out of oxygen completely, your screen starts to fade upgrade and you start losing health. There are food buffs that increase weight capacity for a certain amount of time as well, so keep an eye out for those. Now, if you played other Bethesda titles, you may be pretty wary of picking up every bit of ammo you see, every med pack or stim that you see lying around. Don't be scared to do that in Starfield though. Things like ammo, notes and data pads, med packs, and even digipicks, which are Starfield's lockpicks, literally weigh nothing. Consumables like stims and drugs and food related buffs do weigh something, however. Now, your ship actually has a cargo hold that you can actually store stuff into. All that wonderful junk and those incredibly valuable resources. When you are boarded onto your ship, open up your inventory and look to the bottom right. There should be an option that is labeled cargo. The keybind on PC is Q and it is left bumper for console. Once you switch over to that window, you'll be able to see your cargo's inventory. Hitting the keybind again will swap you back to your inventory, allowing you now to transfer items into your cargo. The cargo is different for different ships, which leads us to our next thing that you need to know. You can build your own ship. At major cities, at each landing pad, there are ship technicians that allow you to buy and customize your ship. You can swap out practically everything. It's like we're a kid again snapping Legos together. You even get a nifty little test drive option to make sure that your monstrosity of a ship can actually fly. You can upgrade your boosters, your lasers, your missiles, and yes, you can upgrade that cargo we just talked about, allowing you to hold more at the expense of more weight. And more weight, I believe, means more fuel you need to grab jump to other planets. Now, not all planets will have life forms on them, and I'm sure you've read the memes, I'm sure you've read countless of articles saying and questioning the barren planets. But just because they don't have life form on them does not mean the planet won't have anything at all. It won't have things like robots, for example. Just because the planet seems empty does not mean it's not worth exploring, because from what I've seen, every planet I've landed on has POIs. Starfield is practically all procedurally generated, even through main story things. So if you and your friend are talking shop and you have to go to a planet for so-and-so, and your friend who may be on the same part you were discussing, they may have to go to a different area or a different planet entirely. What I'm trying to say is not every playthrough is going to be the exact same. There are static location items in the game, but it is an RPG. There has to be some sort of linear creations. Now, from your ship, you can jump to a planet, and while in orbit, you can scan that planet to see which resources it yields and potential POIs that you can land at immediately. Another cool little tip is that once you scan the planet, you can actually land pretty much anywhere. Unless it actually tells you it's ocean, you can't land in the ocean, obviously. You do not have to land at POIs. You are free to roam and explore the planet as you want. Now, this does not mean that it's endless, and I know a lot of people already rose some complaints about it having boundaries. Well, it's not an infinite scaled game, but we have hundreds and they say thousands of planets to explore. Again, all procedurally generated. Now, I do highly recommend doing the scan because you will have to target farm resources when you want to craft and build your outpost. Also, don't forget to assign crewmates. There are 20 different NPCs you can hire and discover throughout Starfield, including 4 romanceable NPCs. Each of these 20 NPCs will have their own skill sets. Some may be great pilots and less useful being an active companion accompanying you in the open world, while some are actually combat ready with skills that do prove useful to you. There is also a complete menu that you can open up to see which crew members are available to be assigned, and what's cool about this is that you can assign these crewmates to your outpost as well, a job for everybody. If you hit the start button on console and go to your bottom left and then hit Y, this will open up your crew. If you hit tab on the PC, again, go to the bottom left and then hit, I believe, Q. It will open up your crew screen. This will show you everybody that you have already met and who is eligible to be assigned. Now, outpost. Outposts are going to be the more complicated thing in Starfield, and that's just because eventually you can have up to 20 plus outposts that can all casually farm resources for you. It could be your overall place to relax and decorate. I mean, Starfield actually, I discovered last night, actually has working display cases and armor stands, so you can display all those plushies you obtained throughout your space voyages. And you can also display your really cool guns, your really cool looking spacesuits. This is where majority of those resources you accumulate are going to be sunk into. And just as a heads up, resources need to be on your ship or on your character, the ones that you want to be building with, because unfortunately it's not a global storage system when building. So if you plan on storing your stuff at your house or the lodge room, you have to go back and forth transfer and materials that you need when you want to build. Now that we've gone over 10 different things that you should know and or do in Starfield, we should also go over this honorable mention here. And that is, play how you want to play. Starfield is a massive open world Bethesda RPG. There are hundreds and hundreds of hours worth of gameplay, and eventually you'll have a new game plus mode. We're not going to go over that in this video, we'll save it for a different video. My suggestions are just my suggestions. They are not mandatory. The only thing that you should do is load up the game, kick your feet up, and live through your own immersion, not somebody else's. And with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe for more Starfield content. And until next time, amigos, take care.